Please subscribe my channel. When Sarah first began staying out late every Friday, I didn't give it too much thought. She told me she was spending time with her old college friend, Ethan. And because I wanted to trust her, I pushed away the unease that tugged at me. Still, my instincts whispered something wasn't right. Each time I asked what they did, she'd flash a smug little grin and say, "You don't need to know, Ryan." At first, I treated it as a playful jab, but the more often she repeated it, the deeper it cut. That smile of hers, so dismissive, made me feel small, as if my curiosity about my own wife's life was a joke to her. One evening when she repeated the line with that same smirk, something inside me shifted. It wasn't only about Ethan anymore. It was about the disrespect she was showing me. That night I decided I was done asking questions. From then on, I would start finding answers. The next Friday, she went through her usual ritual. Dressing up, putting on perfume, making sure her phone never left her hand. After she walked out the door, I waited 15 minutes, slipped on my jacket and followed her. Instead of heading toward Ethan's apartment like she claimed, she drove into the city and stopped at one of those expensive restaurants we had only ever gone to for anniversaries. Through the wide windows, I saw her at a candlelit table, laughing freely, leaning close, and reaching across to touch Ethan's hand. Her face glowed with a happiness I hadn't seen in a long time. And not once had it been directed at me. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to stay calm. I pulled out my phone, took photos, and walked away quietly. That night when she came home smelling faintly of wine and secrets, I pretended to be asleep while she slid into bed beside me. The following morning she cooked breakfast as if nothing unusual had happened, smiling and humming like any normal day. I kissed her cheek before heading to work, but my mind was already several steps ahead, carefully laying out my plan. From that day forward, I changed my approach. Instead of sulking or confronting her, I went out of my way to act even more loving than usual. I surprised her with thoughtful gifts, complimented her often, and even encouraged her to spend more Fridays with Ethan, all the while keeping my true intentions hidden. She thought she had me wrapped around her finger, relieved by my sudden understanding. In reality, I was preparing my exit with precision. Quietly, I gathered evidence, photos, call logs, and details of her outings. With the help of a lawyer, I built my case, discovering that her so-called friendship with Ethan had been an affair going on for months. My lawyer advised patience, so I waited until the right moment. Then, on another Friday night while she was out with him, I packed my belongings, emptied my half of our bank account, and left a sealed envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside were all the photos, the logs, and a letter spelling out exactly what I knew. The letter ended with the line, "Now you don't need to know what I'm doing anymore." I checked into a hotel that evening, switched off my phone, and for the first time in years, I slept soundly. The next morning, her missed calls and frantic texts piled up. When she realized I wasn't responding, her tone turned angry. She accused me of ruining our marriage over nothing, calling it a misunderstanding. I ignored every word. 2 days later, she showed up at my office in tears, collapsing in the lobby while my coworkers looked on in disbelief. I stayed composed, simply telling her, "You didn't respect our marriage when it mattered. There's nothing left to fix." After that, mutual friends reached out, trying to play mediator, but I learned most of them had already known about her and Ethan. What she thought was a secret wasn't much of one at all. Her humiliation spread faster than I ever could have arranged myself. She and Ethan tried to keep their relationship alive, but it didn't last. He was never in it for commitment, only for the thrill. Within a month it crumbled. I quietly filed for divorce, made sure the process was smooth, and didn't let her pull me back in with her desperate pleas for another chance. The part of me that once would have bent over backward for her was gone. No apology could erase the smirk that had started this entire downfall. When the papers were signed and everything was final, I moved into a new apartment and began piecing my life back together. Months later, by chance, I saw her in a grocery store. She looked drained, her once confident smile replaced by something hollow and weary. She tried to start a conversation, but I simply gave a small nod and walked away. That was enough to show me all I needed to know. She finally understood what she had lost. I didn't feel triumph in her misery, only a quiet peace. My revenge hadn't been loud or messy. It had been subtle, dignified, and complete. She once told me I didn't need to know where she went on Fridays. Now, she doesn't get to know a single thing about my life at all. My Fridays these days are simple but fulfilling. I hike, read, or share dinner with real friends. I discovered that sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't in shouting, fighting, or trying to make someone feel the same pain. They already do. The true victory is walking away with dignity intact. Sarah chose deception and arrogance. I chose freedom and peace. And in the end, that made all the difference. She lost her secret escapes, her smug confidence, and the man who had once loved her unconditionally. What I gained was clarity, resilience, and the sweetest justice of all. Moving forward without bitterness, knowing she will never forget the moment her smirk finally disappeared.